How's it going, everybody? Winter split major time. Everybody is getting ready for the upcoming matches. Everybody is looking forward to what the heck is going to happen at SoFi. And alongside that, a lot of people don't really give the due diligence to the minor regions, unfortunately. Obviously, we know about North America and Europe, and that's a lot of the emphasis on this channel. But I think it's not fair to discredit OCE, SAM, APAC showing depth, MENA showing depth. Like a lot of these teams, like MENA, heck, I mean, they were top 8. OCE was a game away with both their teams from making the top. Like there is, without a doubt, other teams that people should be paying attention to. So because most people don't watch these videos, I'm trying to make it as digestible as possible. We are going to go through all the minor regions today. We are going to go through OCE, SAM, APAC North and South. We're going to talk about MENA. We're going to go through all of these different regions, talk about the teams you need to pay attention to, their results, why they're here, and some surprising storylines. Like one team in particular wasn't even supposed to play in the qualifier, but because another team couldn't play, not only did they play in the qualifier, they qualified for the major. Like crazy stuff that people just don't know about. Stuff that should definitely be paid attention to. Definitely things that people need to start giving credit to some of these minor regions because they're a lot better than people think. So with that said, let's jump over to the other scene. We're going to turn down the music a little bit and we're going to crush through these. There's a lot. We're going to try to speed run. Timestamps will be down below with all the different regions. First and foremost, we're going to start with OS, Oceanic region. There's 3 regionals. We're going to go through these one by one just real quick, kind of talk about the results. There is pretty much 6 teams in OCE that you need to pay attention to, and they're pretty much up at the top here. You've got Ground Zero and Renegades, which have been the 2 favorites. At one point, it was Cringe Society, which is no more. You have Forkidden, Dire Wolves, Team Bliss, now that Zen's with them, Wildcard Gaming. There is about 5 or 6 potential teams that you should be paying attention to, and you're seeing that in the results. Wildcard upsetting Ground Zero. You're getting Renegades consistently performing. CJ is the top player in OCE again, not just due to personality, but due to actual results. It's pretty crazy. Making consistent results happen. Best scorer in the scene. Like he's doing a really good job for OCE right now. And a lot of it is because Fever has alleviated a lot of the pressure. Metal right now is 2 super heavy offensive players with a sub or a player that can facilitate it. I still think Kami's one of the best players in OCE. I think what he does on and off the ball is unbelievable. Kind of comparable to Kam even with the way that they demo. Ride Gaming's really good. Direwall's really good. Forkidden did recently get picked up by Kansas City Pioneers after they left, if you guys don't recognize that. But there is some pretty solid players across the board. Obviously, Amphis getting love in chat. There's a lot of talent in OC. They play fast, a little bit sloppy at times, but very malleable to situations. So first event went down. For the most part, the biggest upset was Ground Zero getting knocked out. They dropped down really low to this Forkidden team that people have been paying attention to. And for the first time in a very long time, OC has always had 2 really dominant teams, even all the way back to like Chiefs esports clubs, way back. It was like Chiefs and Pale Horse, Chiefs Tainted Minds, Chiefs and somebody else. Even way back then, it has been 2 teams, and neither of those teams are in the grand final in the first regional. And it set a precedent that there is depth in OCE, and it was awesome. We saw that continue in Regional 2. In Regional 2, you then saw some of the same things happen, but for the most part, there was some consistency. We now have a new top team in OCE. It is no longer Ground Zero and Renegades. It is, as most people are looking, Renegades and Forkidden, which is now the Pioneers team that a lot of people have been looking at. Renegades does bounce back. Renegades showing that they are the best team in OCE, but still Ground Zero bounce back. Like you're seeing some similar results. And then when we get into the 3rd and final regional, it does kind of come down to the wire. Is CJ and the boys going to clutch up? Is Ground Zero going to show results? Whatever it's going to be. There were some pretty surprise results here. The big thing that people don't realize, like I mentioned and why I said at the beginning, Pioneers is the Forkidden team. So they have 2 top 2 performances. They have a top 3 performance. That is why they actually bump out Ground Zero, because Ground Zero has such rough results at the beginning. Even with them winning an event and showing results, it is Renegades at the top and Kansas City Pioneers that go to the event. If we take a look at the overall standings for the 2, this is just winter. That is what determines if you go to the major or not. You can see it. First place, second place, third place, second place, second place, third place. Down in the dumps in comparison, and then a first place and a third place. So Pioneers does outweigh them. They're both guaranteed going to the Winter Major. Your representation, fan favorite and Renegades, and Pioneers, which was previously for Kitten. We are seeing depth in OC. It is not the same to shoe in every single time. This is probably one of the stronger things. It's also, for the first time in a long time, Torsos isn't going to the major. That's wild to me. There's some new narratives coming into the RLCS, but Renegades and Pioneers, those are your representation, former for Kitten team. Pay attention to them. We're going to jump over to South America. We've got some results to go through in the first event. I'm going to zoom out to these, and I'm sorry if you guys want to see more of these. You got to make sure that you pause it because I'm trying to go through these quick. There's a lot of them. So South America, same thing. Before it was just kind of like Furia, Noble, but now there's like Era, Crew's been playing pretty well, Elevate, Chromax, Endgame. Like there's a lot of really solid teams. This True Neutral is not the same True Neutral. Obviously, they got picked by Complexity now in North America. Change your mentality about that. Leviathan also does some pretty good things as well. Crew surprised a lot of people with their performances, but your top 4 or 5, Crew, Noble, Dream Conspiracy, Era, obviously. I mean, it's actually pretty big depth. The big surprise, similar to Ground Zero though, is Furia that gets knocked out pretty early. This is supposed to be the big super team. This is with Jan coming in. It's supposed to be absolutely cracked. Like this is supposed to be the team, but they ran into Noble and Lowers because they got upset by Chromax in a tiebreaker. So there is again depth coming to South America. This is the stuff we've been wanting from the minor regions, and the benefit to the minor regions is they only get 2 spots instead of 5. So it really comes down to the wire. South America more than ever will show that at the end. So Regional 1 does end up going to Noble. Many people believe one of the better teams, a team that has had numerous times to clutch up. If you guys watched my previous video, a team that I mentioned that, hey, they have the clutch factor. A lot of very veteran talent with Sadness Knight and Math particularly. But people are going to be more familiar probably with Furia, with Kaio, Card, and Jan. So we'll talk about those in a bit. We then go to Regional 2. Similar to OCE, the top dogs bounce back. Noble shows consistency. Furia ends up doing their thing. They bounce back. And then we see some polarizing results. But the big difference here is kind of the top dogs -1 removed, with Atypical getting upsets. Endgame and Elevate, many expected to do better, but they played each other in a tiebreaker, which Endgame ended up winning. So you are seeing, like I said, some varying results. Players that people usually don't hear about, which is awesome. So that all happens. We then go to the third and final regional, and this is where it gets a little bit crazy. If you guys haven't watched my videos where I talk about how terrible Noble is as an organization, how much of their owner is a bag of dicks, for lack of better phrasing. That's me censoring myself late because at this point I don't care how I feels. Noble is no more. They then get picked up by Team Secret. The former Noble team becomes Erased, which was their previous name. They then get picked up by Team Secret. Team Secret is now that team. They're back in the RLCS, which is really awesome. After being like 0-7 in like season 2 or 3 or whatever it was, one of the worst performing teams in Rocket League history, they come back in, which is really cool. So Sadness, Knight, and Math get picked up. They're now under Team Secret, and they also have some pretty solid performance. They finish another top 4 result. Furia shows again a win and a top 2 placement. Era also shows a lot of consistency. So across the board, originally it starts with Furia playing poorly. It shows that Noble, what was Team Secret, super consistent. So the awesome thing about South America is all of these matches mattered. We did not know who was going to land until the very end. We had no idea what the results were going to be because everybody was so close because of those early results from Furia. So it was absolutely fantastic. We got to see every match really matter in South America. If you want to go back and watch the series, all of these are so good. They're very, very excellent. I know it says 4-1, but like 3-1, 3-2, overtime, 3-1, 2-1 with an overtime. You look at the grand final, 3-2, 3-1, 2-1, 4-2, 2-1, like 3 overtime. Like it's nuts. And like South America plays so confident without care of defense. It's just nonstop. It's awesome. So overall rankings, it does come down to the wire. And I mean, look how close it is between first and second. 9 points. 9 points is the difference between first and second. And Team Secret is the one that ends up doing it. The 2 victories give them that additional 102 points. They nullified here with their first place one. But like, man, while Team Secret regressed and other teams clawed back, even with Furia, and this is what's crazy about the minor regions, right? Because only 2 spots go, they have a third place, and a second place, and it's still not enough to go. That is insane to me, that you can take third, second, and not go to the major in your region. They're the most consistent, but their peaks aren't peaking enough, and like they get bumped out. So Furia, because they won 2 events, that's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Like if Arrow wins this, right? They have 351. That bumps them up to 871. That bumps them down to 931. Like it's still enough to make it, but like it's incredible. Watch South America. It's so good. Moving over to Middle East. I'm not going to waste much of your guys' time. There is about 3 or 4 teams to pay attention to. You've got obviously Sandrock Gaming, Ultimates, Falcons, and Sites. Sites is the other one. Sandrock Gaming wins everything. They win the first one. In the second regional, though, which is pretty exciting, something special happens, and Sandrock Gaming loses. They actually don't win everything. For the first time ever, someone upsets Sandrock Gaming. They can bleed, and this is what we've been waiting. MENA now, for the first year ever, has consistent tournaments for their teams to compete in, and Sites upsets the #1 team. Sandrock does claw back and end up dominating them and saying, hey, we are the top dog. We're going to beat you 8-0 in a bracket reset. We're not even going to blink. You guys can't see that, but it's 4-0, 4-0. SRG asserts dominance, and they do the same thing in Regional 3. And SRG has yet to lose an entire regional, ever. They've never lost a regional, but you are seeing depth through these rosters. You are seeing better teams and development through this region, which is absolutely fantastic. Sandrock Gaming has also already qualified for the World Championship wildcard. They are already guaranteed to put themselves at a chance at the World Championship at the end of the year. Already in spring hasn't even happened because they have won literally everything. But teams showing they can bleed within their own region. There is some depth coming from MENA, which is really cool. So looking at the overall standings, Sandrock Gaming is going to be going because nothing but W's. But new team coming in, Sites. Sites getting 10 points ahead of Ultimates. It used to be Falcons and Ultimates. Sites, this new roster coming in, turning some heads. Another storyline to pay attention to. Only getting better. Next, we go to APAC North and South. We're going to go through North and then South really quick through these. Tokyo Verde is the dominant team, but there is some competition. NIMT and Detonator are 2 teams to pay attention to. Detonator was also a team that was in striking range, but Tokyo Verde's won everything. NIMT also a team that many people don't really pay attention to. Their roster is actually under a unfortunate circumstance, which I'll talk about here in just a second. So, first regional, NIMT actually ends up winning. Tokyo Verde for the first time actually loses. Pretty surprising. Tokyo Verde usually has been pretty dominant, but some competition, some development. Detonator also possibly could have been in that grand final. We then go to Regional 2. Tokyo Verde versus Detonator. So now we're seeing some parity between 2 and 3, right? NIMT and Detonator. You're seeing some different results. Tokyo Verde still wins. They're still in the grand final. But these teams, and this is why I hate double elimination again, you lose to the top team, you drop down, you lose again immediately. Keep it close, but it's unfortunate. Then go to Regional 3. Tokyo Verde again, but again, 2 and 3, very, very close. Upper bracket drops down, loses again. Get rid of this format, please. You're seeing 2 and 3 battle. You are seeing teams get more and more competitive within one region because they now have dedicated tournaments to play in on a consistent basis. This is what the benefit of having Psyonix funding coming in and providing an official form of people to compete every 2 weeks. Makes a huge difference for the scene. We then go to Asia Pacific North and their rankings. Because APAC and APAC North and South are separate, they take 2 teams and they send them to the qualifiers. What's crazy though is that NIMT actually was the team to do it. They have a first place, a second place, and a third place, while Detonator has a second place and 2 third places. So you've got 2-1-1, 3-2-2, and then you've got 1-2-3. So NIMT actually outperforms Detonator. That actually happens. And a little bit of spoilers here, but they're unable to participate in the Winter Major. This team can't go to the Winter Major for whatever reason, so they forfeit their spot in a qualifier, which is insane. So because NIMT can't play at the Winter Major, I don't know the exact reasoning. I don't know if it's due to schooling or something else. Detonator gets a chance to play in the qualifier. APAC. So you've got two teams. Tokyo Verde and Detonator are coming from APAC North to play in the qualifier. Over in APAC South, primarily 3 Rats and are the two teams. 3 Rats and bounces back. They go in. You're going to see a trend here. 3 Rats, Dark Rift makes an upset, but you have a team that is, again, top 3. Okay. Good to see Dark Rift showing some parity. And then we go to Regional 3. 3 Rats, Dark Rift, and the same. So you're getting a lot of the similarity, but other teams starting to step up. But primarily, 3 Rats build different. They're the team. They also get picked up at this time. 3 Rats is no longer 3 Rats. They have been signed. If you guys haven't watched my videos on like roster stuff, things have changed. But 3 Rats, perfection. They are the Tokyo Verde of APAC South. Because of the consistency, second, third is better than second, and fourth. Those point differentials are enough to make up for it, even with this, because these points outweigh that. These are your 2 representatives. So then go to APAC qualifier. Okay. And in the qualifier, they do just a double elimination straight up. And what's crazy is even though Tokyo Verde shows perfection in the upper bracket and they go to the grand final, the team that wasn't even supposed to play, because NIMT could not get time off of work, as chat confirms, because NIMT, even though they were the second team and had to forfeit going to winter because they couldn't get time off of work, Detonator gets to play in their spot, and even with dropping down to the lower bracket, beats the other 2 teams from the other region. Gladiators and or Yuha. I don't know how to say your name. Or whatever, maybe. I'm butchering it probably the whole time. They beat the other teams from the South region and then go against their former rival and win. So when it matters most, Detonator from the lower bracket ends up winning 4-3. And that's it. Detonator showing parity. And who would have known what would have happened if NIMT would have been there as well, right? This series was nuts. We're going to watch this again on stream soon. Just letting y'all know. We're going to watch this on this channel probably sometime this weekend, without a doubt, and do some replay analysis on it. Yeah, this series was insane. All of this because one team possibly couldn't even get to play. It's pretty crazy. So, the APAC qualifier we just went through, and that gives us then our international teams. If we go to the actual international major, we have our 16 teams. We obviously know NA. We obviously know EU, but our minor regions: Renegades and Pioneers, Secret Furia, Detonator, and Sandrock. Pretty insane stuff across the board. So we do have some new faces, some familiar, a little bit of everything. It is going to be absolutely incredible to watch this all play out. So that has been your minor region recap. This is me emphasizing, and hopefully you guys take the time to actually pay attention to these. I don't expect you to go and watch all these regions. Some of the OC matches start at like 4 a.m. my time, but I do try to go back at least once a week and watch the grand finals, or at least the semifinals if there's a close series. I use Liquipedia as a resource. I'll leave a link to Liquipedia kind of as a generic down below. Just click the tabs like I did, go through them, see if there's one you like, and pay attention to it. Pick a favorite team. A lot of people obviously pick CJ and the Renegades, but I would go check out some of this SSA teams as well. SSA we're not getting any introduction to until the wild card, but you know, try to do some homework on at least one team. Educate yourself on one region, just because it's always cool to have like a backup. You know, maybe your favorite team gets knocked out and you want to root for an underdog. It's kind of a cool way to do it. So there is some familiar faces, like I said, but also some new ones as well. We've got 2 scrubs that are going to be at the World Championship. Hopefully they do some funny content with that, but some familiar faces and otherwise, and some brand new LAN. There's like 18 rookies going to LAN for the Winter Major. And not only are they rookies, but they also get a crowd for it as well. So with that said, hopefully you guys enjoy these minor region breakdowns. We're going to try to keep doing these once per split to keep you guys up to date on who's going to the major. Maybe a little bit more love given to them when it comes to World Championship time and leading up to the wild card. But let me know what you guys would like. I only do these once in a while because you guys usually don't watch these videos. So if you have made it this far, I do greatly appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a ton of comments as it helps out the video for the algorithm. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.